Today I am doing a fun experiment with activated charcoal. And I'm doing this because I'm a part of a lot of the Facebook groups and Reddit groups, and a lot of questions are always asked about why their charcoal soap is only gray and not black. And I felt like it was going to be fun to do an experiment trying the 3 different types of charcoal that are readily available to use for soap and see what the outcome is. It actually surprised me what happens because it was kind of flip-flopped for me. But I suspect, usage rates play an important role as well. So I've just finished doling out 1 teaspoon of coconut husk charcoal, wood ash charcoal, and bamboo ash charcoal. And we're going to be doing layers with each one. I'm finishing up melting my hard butters and oils. I usually do this on a bain-marie on the stovetop. And here I am just adding oils from my recipe oils into my charcoal to get them nice and smooth. I usually put, in the summer especially, my lye solution water in an ice bath to keep it cool. In the winter, I will set it outside in the cold weather and it'll cool off quicker because I'm impatient and I want it all to be ready. I'm soaping at around 95 degrees today. The fragrance oil I'm using is from Nature's Garden. It is called Fresh Bamboo. This will be the first time I'm using it, believe it or not, even though it's very popular. And in the soaping notes, they say that it does accelerate slightly and it does cause slight ricing. So we will see what happens here. When I use my stick blender, and I've been soaping for a while and I still haven't found the right stick blender for me. I've been through 3 different ones now, and this one now is not the best. It still causes bubbles, so I'm still searching for the perfect one, just like we all will be. And I will tap my stick blender on the bottom and the sides to get out as much air from inside the stick blender as possible. Now, when I'm splitting my batter, I always just blend to emulsion and not a trace. I will wait to blend to trace once my batter is split and my colorants and fragrance is added, especially with soaping notes that says something might accelerate. I don't know yet how much it will accelerate, so I don't want to be at trace yet. So here I am just splitting off the first charcoal layer. Actually, I split off all 3 layers here. I filled these pots a little bit too much. And with activated charcoal, it can be a mess. So I've always tried to be a really clean soaper, but it just doesn't work out that way. So I'm going to finish pouring my batter off. And then I will start mixing. This first one is the Coconut Ash Husk, which is the most popular activated charcoal used in soap to create the blackest black, usually. I'll just get this all in here and get it blended up. Believe it or not, I'm adding 1/3 of my fragrance oil here, and you will see I don't feel that this fragrance oil accelerates very much at all, but possibly after everything is poured, it might heat up. And I felt no ricing. I did not need to blend any ricing out, so it could be a matter of what recipe you're using that it might cause ricing, or what temperature you're soaping at. At this temperature, I did not find that it riced. So I'll stick blend this for quite a while to try and get it to a good enough trace that I'm happy to pour with. And I'll speed it up a little bit. I did, however, pour a little bit of this off camera out of the pitcher so I would not continue to create a mess of activated charcoal. So here we are, just pouring our first layer. In between each layer, I will also be adding a little bit of a mica line. So you don't see any rising there, so I wasn't too terribly concerned. Now we're starting our second layer, which is our bamboo ash activated charcoal. I generally use the bamboo ash charcoal when I'm looking to have a little bit more of a blue hue. I'll speed this up also so you don't have to watch the entire blending process. Okay, we're going to add a mica line. And I generally like to add more mica at the center of the soap. I don't know if you've ever noticed when you've added a mica line that when you pour your next layer, it spreads your soap out to the sides. It happens to me more with metallics like golds or silvers. So I'm making sure I get the most mica in the center and then scattering some on the edges and the outside. It's just whatever you feel comfortable. Just don't put too much so that your layers don't stick together. And this mica is Sakura by Mad Micas. We're almost finished here. Taking my sweet time, aren't I? So now I'm just adding the fragrance to my second layer. As you can see, I did not measure my fragrance into thirds. I just did that by eye. You can do it however you'd like. It is more accurate to measure out each portion of your fragrance so that your soap is the same throughout, but I generally do it by eye. So now we'll just mix up until you're happy with your trace. I believe I stick blend here for a moment. Since they're all blacks, I'm not cleaning my stick blender off in between. It doesn't make that enough of a difference. I'll get this layer poured. As you can see, this layer looks a little bit lighter, and it was not what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be almost as dark as the coconut husk, because I tell people even use bamboo will give you a nice dark black with a blue hue. And this is where the ratio or amount of charcoal you use could make a big difference. But I am learning that here. I would definitely need to use more of the bamboo charcoal to equal the amount of the coconut charcoal in terms of color. So we'll get this finished, and then I will be doing another mica line on top of this layer. Before I do the mica line, this is the wood ash charcoal. Wait till you see the end, because it's not exactly what I expected in the end. But it does give a good frame of reference of how much charcoal we need to use to create our desired effects. And I can take a second look and see, what is the best charcoal to use? What do I like the most out of these three? Make my decision based off of that. So we'll get blended and I'll do my mica line and we'll go from there. Okay, now we're pouring our last black layer. And I use the spatula, as do many, just to break the pour and make sure it doesn't go through. And you can see that second layer has set up pretty well, and this one is traced pretty well, so it's not going through. But I also use it to guide my batter into the nooks and crannies and corners of the mold. And I go back and forth just to make sure I'm getting an even amount of batter all throughout. Here we are with our remaining batter, and I'm adding the rest of the Sakura mica to create a thin pink layer on top. I'm scraping out that fragrance because I always notice that there's like a few drops of fragrance still left in my bowl, no matter how much I scrape it out. There's always a little bit left, so I always try and get that put in somewhere. So before I do that, I am adding some pink Himalayan sea salt. I'm kind of testing the batter here, see how much will go through. I'm also going to be adding this to the top. But here we are here, and I just wanted that to firm up a little bit more before I poured this layer. Oh, there I am. I like to my arm needs to be in the right position to put things on because I'm right-handed. So you'll see I move my mold around a lot doing that. So this is firmed up nicely. I'm putting some of my pink sea salt in here because I do know that it will fall off the top. You'll see I put a generous amount on the top because it tends to fall off. And now I'm adding that pink Sakura layer. I don't add all of it. I want only a thin layer there. And the rest of it I will be putting into a single cavity mold. But that looks so pretty. So I've just kind of flooded the top, as you can see, and pushing it into the different corners. So I've let that set up, and I'm adding the rest of my pink sea salt. I'm adding a generous amount so that when these are cut, knowing some will fall off, that enough is left on. Now I cover and I will CPOP this. Here it is. Now this did accelerate after it was in the mold. I got a little bit of silicone rash, and here I am trying to cut it. It went through a super gel phase, like really quickly. So I'm putting that to the fragrance because I know it's not the recipe. It is not going to work to cut this on my wire cutter. I'm finding that out because I put so much salt, and some is in that top black layer, but you can almost see what it's going to look like. So I end up cutting it with a knife, which I'm not the best at, and now you can see my head popping in and all that. So I will fast forward through this somewhat because I don't want you to have to look at my head. And you can see all that salt that's falling off. Yeah. I'm very happy about how these turned out. A nice experiment. As you can see, the 3 layers are distinct, and that middle layer, which I went back 3 times to make sure that I didn't mix up the charcoals, because I would have automatically assumed that was the wood ash layer, but it's not. That's the bamboo layer. The first layer is coconut on the bottom, the second layer is bamboo, and the top layer is wood. So it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. Here I'm just cleaning these off with a bit of microfiber, so those smudges from the knife cutting, they're just minor, just get rubbed away, and I kind of smooth down the corners. I'm putting my stamp on all of the bars, which is my Leaping Bunny logo. And it turned out quite nice. They are really pretty. They smell great. The fresh bamboo is a great scent. And I'll slow it down here. You can see the different layers. The top one looks to me to be more like the coconut. The bottom looks more like bamboo, and the center looks more like wood, but it's not at all what it is. The bottom is coconut, the center is bamboo, and the top is wood. So I don't know what to say. I really don't. I guess, you live and learn. Thanks for watching.